Once I got hit by a car from the side, which shifted all things in my pelvis and low back area and led to something called the Piriformis syndrome. It's this pain that is deep in your hip and can radiate down your leg. You may have heard about it. I'll tell you what I did, and I hope it will help you too. And in the end, as always, I also show you a couple things that I would avoid if you're dealing with this kind of pain. So what you will see here, this is this area of your hip. Yeah, so here is the femur bone, and then we have here the hip bone, the sacrum, and that is your sciatica. This nerve is like almost as thick as your index finger. Crazy, yeah? So we don't want to irritate that guy. So in this piriformis syndrome, there is a muscle called the piriformis, It attaches from the sacrum, so like underneath here, and goes across your hip, and then attaches here to the top of your thigh bone, called the greater trochanter. So you can find it in your own body if you would stand. You go here to the side of your hips and you push. There's like a bony protrusion. If you move the leg a little bit, then you will see that, oh, there is like a bone moving underneath your thumb. Then you are there. So this is somewhere here across the butt. There. In real life, you have other muscles here on top, gluteus, etc., etc. But so it's a deep muscle, but most of us, the sciatica nerve goes underneath, and for some of you guys, the nerve even goes in between the muscles, this muscle. So if this muscle gets tight and tense, it will push onto this nerve, again creating this pain either in the center of your hip or sometimes even shooting down. So since this muscle is the culprit, and if it's tight and tense, we need to make more space between the sacrum, one attachment point, and the greater trochanter. So we got to stretch this area out. Look at your feet for a moment. You can shake out your legs, and then when your feet come to stillness and one foot turns out more than the other, there's a good chance that this muscle is already tight because it is an external rotator. So we need to stretch this, because in anatomically neutral, when the feet are parallel to each other, there's likely that you don't have any pain, especially not in this area. So let me show you a few things that you can do in order to release this pain. And this is more like a lecture style. I put a just practice section. I put a session for you together where you just get to do the postures without any anatomy talk. It's free. Click on the link below and then let me know how it went, as always. So first one, you can use a chair or like a low table, anything. I'm going to just use my windowsill here. It's right there. So you put it onto something higher so that you have like a little bit 90-degree angle, at least can be a little bit more. Place the opposite hand on the outside of your knee and this hand here into the hip crease, like the thumb into the crease, so that you can push the hip down. Very important, so that the side body here stays long, it is not hiked up and puts the body into misalignment. So one hand here, one hand here. Then push the standing leg actively into the floor so there is some strength. You can engage your glutes a little bit. Move your knee over your ankle. And then here I'm pushing the outer hip slightly down just to keep my hip square. Hold the belly button towards your spine, and then you start to rotate towards the bent leg. When you inhale, push through your standing leg, and then when you exhale, twist a little more. You can even move the knee a little bit across the midline, yeah, so because this is the attachment point of this piriformis muscle, and then twist. As always, do it on both sides. So this one, similar action. If you have very tight hamstrings, just sitting upright can be quite awful for the whole hip area. So I'm going to show this while sitting on a block. You may or may not need it. So if you're comfortable sitting upright with straight legs, skip the block. So similar to the standing posture. So variation 1, you put your foot on the inside, hand on the outside, and here fingertips on the floor, and then sit up tall. You extend through the spine. Good. So move the foot fairly close here to the, which is right now it's my right leg. All right. So firm, firm, lift, pull your belly button in, and first rotate your torso towards the left side in this case. And then again, light push here with the knee. And then when you inhale, make your spine longer. And with every exhalation, pull your belly button to your spine and twist. It just stabilizes the low back when you pull your belly button in, so there is no stress on the low back trying to stretch the piriformis muscle. Good, and then you can make it a little bit more intense simply by crossing the leg over. So I would do both postures on both sides and then come back and do this one now with your leg crossed. And then you twist again. Ta-da. Every time you inhale, extension through your spine. Then you exhale, belly button in, and rotate your torso more while pushing the knee across to get some stretch in here. Yeah, good. So now, fascia release. So now let's remember the drawing. The sciatica nerve is being irritated by a tight piriformis. So this one needs to be done with caution, especially if you have pain. But hey, you'll know if you do too much. Some people do it laying down. I think it's too much pressure. Here on the wall, you can gauge a little bit more how much pressure you want. Because you need to just have like a light massage to not aggravate the sciatica even more. So very slowly, remember the attachment point from the sacrum to the outside of your thigh bone. You can go with the fiber of the muscle and then a little bit upside down cross fiber. And even though you probably just have the pain on one side, I would always do both sides. What doesn't feel so good if you have hip pain because of piriformis is anything that externally rotates the legs, because remember that's the job of that muscle, external rotation, so it will make things shorter and put more pressure on the nerve. So any positions here, like called the cobbler's pose, sometimes I even see the bouncy thing, that just does not feel good because you need to make more space between the attachment points and not shorten. Yeah. Same is true for these postures, because again, the legs come apart, the spaces between these attachment points come closer together. They're not bad postures, it's just if you have that specific pain, this might not feel so good. Okay guys, I hope this is helpful. Remember, sequence below.